Hello, advanced English learners. Welcome back to this conversation with Greg and myself, MD. It's great to see you. It's great to have you here listening and joining in on the conversation. So today's topic is actually very American, I think, and we're going to be discussing the Marvel universe.
Ooh.
So,
yeah, I love the Marvel universe.
Me too. All right, so we're going to get into it in just a minute. All right, so for those of you who don't know what the Marvel universe is, maybe Greg can give a one-sentence summary.
Sure. So if you are familiar with the Avengers, with Thor, with the Hulk, right? Any of these superheroes, they're part of what's called the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this is something that used to start out as comic books decades ago. And people, kids typically, and increasingly adults, would collect these comic books. And the comic books would tell stories of these different superheroes that traveled around the universe and, did all kinds of good tasks and fought evil villains.
Yeah.
And there are two universes. There's the Marvel universe and the DC universe.
Right.
We're going to be talking about the Marvel universe today. The DC universe is like Batman, Superman,
Wonder Woman.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about the Marvel universe. And not too long ago, the Marvel universe was purchased by Disney.
Right.
So Disney, the production studio, owns the Marvel universe. And so at this point, they've put out a lot of Marvel content.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's really good content.
Yeah.
And it's not just the movies. Now they're getting into the series and the mini-series, which is also really fun because it's a continuation. It's not just necessarily a one movie kind of thing. And what I also like about the way that they're doing it with the movies and then the releasing of the shorter series and miniseries is that it fills in the gaps with a lot of the sort of the folklore.
Totally. Yeah. But maybe we start bigger picture.
Yeah.
For example, who's your favorite Marvel character?
Oh my gosh, I was going to ask you that. So I actually have quite a few. I really like Black Widow.
Yeah,
She's
Black
great,
Widow's
and
really
her
cool.
sister is great. I really like the character.
So Black Widow is played by Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, and they just released, a couple months ago, they released her solo movie / background on her and who she is and her backstory.
Yeah.
And that was really fascinating because we had seen her in the Avengers, but never really like solo spotlight on her until this movie came out, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We were also introduced to her sister in that. So I think both of those characters are really strong female leads, which I'm always a fan of.
So Black Widow started off as an assassin for an evil organization.
Yeah.
And some people from the good side of the Avengers team found her and turned her into a upstanding hero.
Yeah.
Though she's not so black and white, right? She still has like kind of a dark side to her.
Yeah, I would say she has integrity and she's, she has her own moral compass.
Yeah.
But I think she does fight for good.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. She's generally aligned toward the good side of things as opposed to the evil side of things.
Yeah.
But she does march to the beat of her own drum from time to time.
Yeah, which is, I think, also admirable. What about you? Who's your favorite?
So I have a duo.
Should I guess?
Yeah.
Is Thor one of them?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Doctor Strange?
Loki.
Oh, Loki. I forgot about Loki.
Yeah. So I love the Thor Loki duo.
Yeah.
I think they're so much fun, right? Thor is the definition of a do-gooder.
Yeah.
But he's also like a little bit cocky.
Goofy too.
He's got a big ego. Well, they're both goofy, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about all of the Marvel characters is that they're goofy.
Yeah.
But Thor, for me, he's just like, he's a fun, loving, and everything sort of around him is action-packed and good fun. And then his brother is this sort of slimy, Weasley character who's very smart, but is also morally very dubious, right?
Yeah.
He's constantly betraying people. In fact, betrayal is sort of like his MO, right? His modus operandi. And so he provides a really nice contrast to Thor, right? If Thor's this bright, shining light,
Right.
Loki is this sort of dark, smoldering flame. And they together, like, create a lot of tension, a lot of cinematic tension, and comedic relief. That's really fun to watch.
Definitely. And then, Thor is definitely one of my other favorites, and so is Loki. And I like that duo, like you said. They're a yin and yang kind of yin and yang sort of duo. Like it's a very much sort of balanced way when they have them together.
Yeah.
Who else? I like Marvel, Captain Marvel, although we haven't seen much of her, I feel.
Yeah, she had a good movie of her own, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so that was sort of well, what's really cool about the Marvel series and the cinematic universe is that they release the movies not necessarily sequentially in order, but they'll cover the gaps with the other movies they release or the other series they release and a mini series. So you might have these questions at the end of a film and it'll get answered in a later film. For example, when I was watching The Avengers, we saw all of them together. And then we rewatched a lot of them,
too. We've literally watched them from the start to the finish, all of them.
we nerd out on it. And I remember in one of the Avengers, I think it might have been Endgame, we see Ant-Man, right? Mm-hmm. Ant-Man. And then I didn't really know his backstory. And then they filled in the gaps for me when we watched the Ant-Man, I guess, what was it, movie?
Sequel? Well, he's got, Ant-Man has 2 movies, I think. There's Ant-Man and there's like Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, I really like Wasp too. I really like her.
Those are fun.
She's fun, yeah. I generally like lean towards the strong superhero women sort of thing. Like those are, because it's I can identify with them more than I can identify with the male characters, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But
what's nice about the Marvel too is that it's good fun for all ages, right?
Definitely,
so the kids love it. It's not too gory or violent, so you don't have to worry about the kids.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's tons of jokes that only adults would get. And they're very clever.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned before, I also really like how it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Definitely.
Right? Like a lot of the Batman movies you watch, and Superman as well, they take themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, and they're dark and,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily make you feel good.
Right.
Whereas the Marvels almost universally, like they'll have intense moments, sad moments.
Yeah.
But overall, they're positive, they're
More upbeat,
uplifting.
yeah.
You could argue that some of the final Avenger movies are dark, but even those have, a strong sort of inspiring core to it that I don't know. For me, I feel good after watching any of these movies.
For sure. I mean,
any of the Marvels.
I think that's why we revisit them quite often. And what I really like is also that they have those in-betweens with the miniseries. I really liked Hawkeye with the bow and arrow.
Yeah, so these miniseries are something new that came about
during the
once
pandemic.
Once Disney purchased Marvel, right? So there were already some Marvel movies out before Disney purchased them.
Right.
And when Disney purchased them, they continued to release movies, but they realized the movies themselves were such huge, expensive productions that it was hard to keep them coming out on a regular clip.
Right.
And so they were figuring out ways to try and fill in the gaps. And they did that really nicely with these miniseries, which are sort of spotlights on lesser known characters. So you can get into the Marvel universe and sort of fill in, like you're saying, fill in the gaps between the storyline and also just understand some of these characters that have their own rich sort of lore.
Definitely.
But can't, there's not time to spotlight them in a feature movie.
Right. So what was your favorite series? I already know the answer to that.
Yeah, you do. Loki,
Loki.
definitely.
It was very good.
Yeah.
It was very good.
It's just so good. It's
Yeah.
actually quite a few of these miniseries. They're also not generic, right?
No.
They're not just action shows with big budgets and fancy animations. A lot of them take sort of an original twist on what you would expect from a typical Marvel or action movie or show more broadly. And the Loki one does both. So it has some great twists. It also has incredible production value. So just beautiful space sets and wild, crazy sort of magical concepts.
Yeah, and lots of plot twists and turns.
Tons of twists. I also love Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson is
great.
a big character in that.
Yeah, he's great.
What about you? What's your favorite?
Well, I definitely loved Loki, but we'll give you that one for your favorite. I also really enjoyed WandaVision. I thought it was so cool, the way, just visually so enticing, so interesting how they played with mixed media and different genres throughout television. And so, you saw 50s television, 90s.
Well, don't give it away.
Well, okay, I'm not going to give it away, but you see different sort of decades. I'll just leave you with that.
Yes. Yeah, it
Spoiler
starts out
alert.
one way. It starts out one way.
Yeah.
And then, partway through, things change in a very surprising way, which is, almost a meta twist, right?
Yeah.
It's a twist in the medium
Definitely.
of the film, not just in the plot.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool.
And so I really enjoyed that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now switching to the movies. What is your favorite movie? I think I also know the answer to that.
So despite the Thor and Loki being my favorites as characters, my favorite team and the one that I find that have the most fun with are the Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Galaxy, yeah, those are so fun.
Yeah.
There's Rocket, there's Groot, which is a cute little tree that turns into a bigger tree that then turns back into a little tree.
There's Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Do you remember his actual name?
Oh, shoot, no. What is it?
Well, Chris Pratt's the actor.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. Star-Lord is his character's name, but his character also has a human name. So he's a human that was brought up by space people, basically.
Yeah, he's a demigod. So his father is a god.
Yes.
And then Gamora.
Gamora's really cool.
Yeah.
His
love
interest. She might argue otherwise.
She's on again, off again with him. She's
Yeah.
not really sure. And then there's her sister, also a contentious relationship. Well, I wouldn't say Star-Lord and she are contentious, but she and her sister Nebula.
Yeah.
And then Nebula is an exploding star, which is actually really beautiful. If you look at NASA photographs of Nebula, they're beautiful. So that's she, and she's a cyborg, which means that her human elements have been taken out and replaced with machinery.
She's like part human, part machine.
Yeah, so she's incredibly strong.
Yes.
But she doesn't look very human. So that's an interesting concept there.
So yeah, I like Guardians of the Galaxy because it's space based, right?
Which we love.
I like
love
things in
space.
space.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest.
Definitely.
In terms of the script. And then it also has terrific music, a lot of classic American songs.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, it's funny. It's like, on the one hand, you're in space, and on the other hand, it feels like Comfort America, sort of combined. They did a really good job of sort of fusing those two concepts.
Right, which are generally not together. You don't really see them. And you touched upon this earlier with the humor and the comic relief. What I like about Marvel, too, is that there might be a scene that's like almost on the verge of being a little bit scary, but then, like Chris Pratt's character, Star-Lord, will just like bust out and dance with me like, oh, you want to dance to the villain or something like that.
Totally.
Where it alleviates the tension there. So it is I would say for all ages as well.
Absolutely.
It's the fun concepts and the way. What is interesting too with the films is how Stan Lee, when he was alive, he recently passed, but when he was alive.
So Stan Lee.
Yeah.
So Stan Lee is the creator
Yeah.
of the Marvel Universe.
How cool is that?
He's like the author and the illustrator of the
is
original Marvel
just-
comics.
It's amazing. I would have loved to
Yeah.
like chat with him, like bring him on the show and we could have chatted with
Yeah.
him about just like where he found the inspiration for these characters, for the plot lines,
Yeah.
the story, right? Everything. So he makes a cameo. And
So a cameo is when they come on, someone comes into the film briefly, unannounced, and typically it's a surprise, right? And it's
Yeah.
someone of significance, and it's a surprise. So Stan Lee, while he was still alive, he died in the last few years.
Yeah, I think recently. I don't remember exactly, but
But while he was alive, he would cameo in all of the
Yeah.
Marvel films.
so that was really cool. And so you'd be, that's like a little nugget. You'd be waiting for that. Of course, the geeks and the nerds like we.
Exactly. The trick was always to spot him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
funnily enough, different but kind of similar, Alfred Hitchcock, the master thriller movie maker, would
Yeah,
make.
one of the most famous directors in American cinema.
Yeah, and he was a British fellow, and you've probably heard of him. And
Oh, is he
seen-
British?
Yeah,
How interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
But he was Hollywood in terms of where his production was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, U.S. based, like Hollywood kind of thing. And he would make cameos in his films, but those wouldn't be as obvious. So it would be like a silhouette of him getting on a train,
Yeah.
and you like could blink and easily miss it. Because we went through a vertical watching of the Hitchcock.
Yeah, we did a chronological watch of the various Hitchcocks from the very beginning.
Yeah, so
All the way through. I'm not sure we made it all the way to the end, but we made it pretty far.
I think we hit most of the classics. But yeah, we should definitely do that again. Just side note for us there. But yeah, so making a cameo. The other thing when you're actually just talking, I remember in college, like there'd be a bunch of different like parties, theme parties here and there. And I would just be like, yeah, I'm just going to make a cameo to that party. So stay a little bit for like maybe 5 minutes and then leave.
Exactly.
And then land on the one that I actually want to be at, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's fun. Like
it's fun,
making
making a
cameos a
cameo.
fun way to, it sort of implies that you're a celebrity, that you're going to grace this party with your presence for a short period of time before heading elsewhere.
Right, you're like joking around with the concept of I'm just gonna pop in and make a cameo.
Exactly.
Again, it's like it's a joke. It's not really taking yourself seriously, obviously. But yeah, I think I agree with you. We can talk at another time about the DC world, but it's just heavier. It's a little bit darker. It's a different mindset. I would not say that's for all ages, but Marvel, there's something marvelous about it. It really is.
It is. And that's why I thought Disney was such a good owner, right? New owner for the Marvel Universe, because it, I think, gels very well with Disney's family values and, moral compass.
I would agree with that. So if you haven't checked out any of the movies that we've just talked about or the miniseries, the one that we're currently watching is Moon Knight. So
Moon Knight, yep.
if anyone is aware of that, then you might be watching along with us. That's a new one. But there's so many out there, and it's really fun because at the same time, you get a little bit of American culture. You get a little bit of, the American language because, we're speaking in English and they're speaking in American English on the movies, and on the shows. So you get that exposure, and it's just a fun time. So there's an entertainment value to it as well.
And there are a lot of plays on words, right? So
Yes.
from the sort of English learning perspective, it is a great way to, particularly for advanced English speakers, to get a better grip on the different ways you can sort of use English to make jokes. And they're not necessarily obvious, but when you spend a little time studying them, you realize why it was said that way and why it's funny.
Yeah. And it's all very contextual too, right? So, these are movies where, we're native English speakers and we watch them again and we find different like gems hidden in there. And it could be a play on words. It could be a little something, micro expression that we find funny, or some intonation that's very intriguing, right? Just these things that they do as actors and building the world and the characters that they create. It's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
So we're going to keep enjoying the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And we hope you do too.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about. I'm glad we did.
Yeah. I always enjoy it.
hopefully you enjoyed this discussion as well.
And if you've been watching any of these and enjoying, let us know. Let us know who your favorite character is, your favorite movie, your show.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely, because this is part of American pop culture, and we can learn a lot from it. And again, the entertainment value is there as well, so you wouldn't be missing out otherwise. All right, so thank you for joining us for this very lively discussion on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And feel free to share in the comments your favorite character, your thoughts, your favorite film, or if you haven't seen them, tell us why the hesitation and get to it, because at the very least, it could be a little bit of a listening comprehension lesson for you there. And we'll be doing more of these, so feel free to leave a comment with any other sort of topics you would like us to delve into, any questions we can answer. And our aim is just to have fun with these, and hopefully you do too as you join us for the ride. All right, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.